paintings are full of unsolved mysteries. To understand the mystery of each picture, you have to get acquainted with the life and thoughts of its creator. Let these paintings come to life. Watch our new TV program at the gallery.
I was brought up by my grandfather and great-grandmother. I remember us going somewhere in a cart, and simply that feeling of traveling somewhere already was making me joyful. And then one looks around and watches trees growing along the road, and I always thought, the trees growing on the land, and where do the mountains grow? Because I could see these close mountains, and what about the distant ones? I always thought that they probably hang in the air. Long before the first painters appeared in the Kazakhstani land, nomads had their own art. Each yurt was the original exhibition of craftsmen. Tapestry artist Raushan Bazarbayeva cherishes age-long traditions and at the same time amplifies them. She speaks in a modern tongue about the things that excited mankind since the creation. What will her work, The River of Time, tell us about? Historical reference: The River of Time Tapestry. Author Raushan Bazarbayeva, 2003. Tapestry size 170 by 185 centimeters. Comparison of the timely and the eternal, of the earthly and the aerial. The river of time. River is always a river. Water is always water. It vaporizes and then returns as a rain and renews again. And spring comes to our souls again. It is the river of time. There are horizontal and vertical lines, as if our life passes through it. But at the same time, this line remains uninterrupted, and this life is also eternal. Biographical reference: Raushan Bazarbayeva, born in 1958 in Jambul region. She graduated from Gogol College of Arts in Almaty and the Almaty State Institute of Theatre and Arts with a degree of Artist of Decorative Art. In college, I studied to be a painter. I always thought that I would be a painter. But when I came to the academy, there was no such specialization. And so I started studying textile. Raushan Bazarbayeva has been teaching in Jurganov Kazakh National Academy of Arts for 25 years. Her works are kept in Kastev State Museum of Arts, Central State Museum of the Republic of Kazakhstan, and also in private collections in Kazakhstan, the United States of America, Britain, Germany, France, Russia, Egypt, and Japan. Anyone, absolutely anyone, can weave in tapestry, but as far as I understand, not everyone can make a composition. My ability to paint and to draw helps, because I cope with the composition right away. Life inspires Raushan Bazarbayeva. Nature, human communication, literature, this all gets remelted, flown through the internal flame of mental outlook and gives an artistic impulse. But the basis, the foundation is certainly the national folk arts and crafts. What is the peculiarity of folk craft? It is functional. People made what was required in their everyday life. For example, the nomadic style of life did not afford anything excessive. This eternal motion along the surface of the planet separated anything which was unnecessary. That is why this culture is quintessence. It is substantial and powerful. And generally speaking, felt is the very first fabric people turned to and mastered it. Historical reference: Felt is a thick, non-woven fabric which is made by felting. The earliest data about using felt refers from the 3rd to the 2nd millenniums before Christ. Ornaments decorating these works in ancient times often hid the sacred meaning and served as talisman. Ancient felt works are among the main resources of information about the history of the mankind. It is as significant as ceramics, birchbark manuscripts, and bronze articles. Vivified myths, our ancestors' dreams, their hopes, and understanding of world order penetrate into the modern times through the works of Raushan Bazarbayeva. She fills them with kindness, purity, and positive energy. I try to charge everything with the energy of peace and satisfaction. Raushan Bazarbayeva rejects any frames and limits. She is interested in everything, in applied art, painting and graphic painting. She creates works in hand painting on fabric, the batik technique. But first of all, her name became known due to her tapestries, decorative pileless wool carpets.
I think my works have a good psychological effect on people because I make them with love. I just cannot express it. But sometimes I'm in such a state, and a magical state. I know in advance what would be made in tapestry and what to do in batik.
Historical reference. Tapestry is a hand-woven picture carpet with a plot line or with an ornamental composition. It is a work with a high artistic value. First tapestries were made in the ancient Egypt. Several centuries later, Paris masters won the fame of the manufacturers of the most high-quality products in tapestry. French tapestries were sold for gold. They were presented to kings. People were released from captivity in exchange for tapestries. Raphael, Rubens, Goya, Salvador Dali, Vasily Kandinsky, Matisse, Picasso, Duffy and Chagall made sketches for tapestries. In the early 17th century, the royal manufacture of Gobelin Brothers was established. It united all the tapestry workshop of Paris.
Threads work quite differently. When I paint with oils, I do it very easily. Because when you put oils, everything is seen. You may correct something, remove it and put again. But here, preciseness is required. Always maintain such a lyrical state of mind, such internal psychological state of romanticism, spring and light.
Let us recall other Roshan Bazarbayeva's works. At the watering place, tapestry is a nostalgia for childhood, for that time of limitless freedom. A small girl was looking into horse's eyes and saw there the reflection of the sky. At the watering place work is peculiar for monochromaticism of the composition. It is graphic art expressed in tapestry. As for the road tapestry, it is completely different in its color solution. Color grade complies with the Almaty landscape completely. When Roshan Bazarbayeva first found herself in Almaty, she was staring at mountains for a long time, and this work is filled with deep sense. Bazarbayeva's favorite symbols are crossroads and the eternal tree of life, duality of the internal and the outward world, an everlasting alteration of day and night.
There are many trees in her art. There are trees in her graphic paintings, in tapestries and felt. As she tells, trees accompanied her whole life. They impress her. When being a small girl, she looked at these huge poplars. They were so majestic. In her works, trees acquire some symbolic sounding, some certain philosophic color. It's as if she attracts the viewer's attention. Just look at the trees, they stand straining after the light. We can say that she implies some spiritual sense in them.
Let us recall other Roshan Bazarbayeva's works as well. The Yard Flowers work was presented in 2016 in her personal exhibition. This exhibition became the summing up of the long creative period when Roshan was dealing only with felt, and the whole series of works devoted to flowers was created. The Yard Flowers is a work filled with light, love to life, and a festive feeling. It has a very interesting compositional solution, stems growing up and down, as if it is two worlds united by the beauty.
She says that she falls in love with something and that's it. She starts burning with it, and she cannot stop until she exhausts the theme. And of course, I like working with my students. It inspires me when my student comes, and I start peering at each of them. I want to understand his temper, his needs, and I'm trying to be up to the mark. When she wants artistic peace, she turns to books. She likes reading very much. She has a rich library. She studies works of other artists. She attends various exhibitions.
Maintaining freshness of perception without freezing in time is the most important for Raushan Bazarbayeva. Bringing light, love and kindness. She thinks there is no place for pain, anger and desperation in art, because according to her, any offenses and any negative feelings, they just burn down in the bright flame of art. She lost her dear person very early, and her son remained without father, and for a while she was like an orphan swan. At that moment, she was going to present her personal exhibition, and suddenly her dearest person died, and she brought up her son by herself. I wanted my son to be an actor, like his father. Since childhood, I was watching my mum painting, how she made her sketches, and how these sketches were becoming tapestry. And he said, I will be an artist. And this was a shock for me. It was unexpected. I never took him seriously as an artist. And what if he was mistaken? But he insisted. My mom gives me more than books or the internet can, because there is too much of everything in the internet, and it misleads. But when I ask mom, she tells me what is right. She suggests something. One should just not get afraid and add fantasy. He now studies in Jurgenev Academy of Arts. I hope he would succeed as an artist. One should make mistakes. If you don't make mistakes, you won't learn anything. I think one should make mistakes. Let's recall other Raushan Bazarbayeva's works. Improvisation on Suck's diadem is one part of the triptych created in 2013. The diadem on a picture is very close to the original. It was just conveyed through the prism of the author's world perception. In her work, Raushan reproduced the details of Suck symbols, maintaining national coloring with an incredible preciseness. Tapestry starts with a sketch. You take a theme and start drawing a sketch. When I think that my sketch is completed, I have the idea. I enhance it in a cardboard. For this sketch, I took size of approximately 1 meter to 1 meter 20 centimeters. For instance, when an artist paints, he mixes all paints on a palette and puts strokes, while a tapestry artist conveys colors with threads. He needs to create a color. It is a combination of several threads of various tints. He has to use very thin threads. You see this green color, but it only seems to be green. But in practice, there are tints of yellow, lilac, blue and bright green. I have about 10 threads here. And it is necessary to combine whatever is needed. And not in a simple way, but it should transfer into another color, into the second, the third and the fourth color. As a result, when one looks at the painting, he should feel certain depth. This is done in order to convey the implied storyline, its sense in images. It is very complicated, but it comes with experience. I like dark blue colors, tints of yellow, bright green and azure colors, and I always use them. But sometimes, of course, I vary some elements and make some other sketches. The biggest world tapestry of the century was created on the sketch of Belarusian artist Alexander Kishchenko. In 1999, it was included in Guinness Book of World Record. Its size is 14 to 19 meters. It is a 6-storied building high. Almost 300 kilograms of wool was used for the tapestry. This monumental work of art was being woven for 5 years. The world-famous Bayeux tapestry is recognized as national heritage of the French Republic. It was made in the 11th century. The 70-meter-long canvas shows the scenes of the Norman conquest. The tapestry is made in technique of weaving of wool threads on lining fabric. It is considered that the carpet was made by court weavers on the order of Queen Matilda, the wife of Wilhelm the Conqueror. The River of Time work fascinates. It is full of life, of bright images and symbols. Stones are silent guardians of eternity. The unhasting flow of the river, Your glance follows the traveling wave, and the subconscious suggests that it is not a simple wave. This line separates river from the reflection in the sky. According to the artist, everyone paints his own river of time. Each one has his own palette of emotions. I wanted to express the feeling that any state of mind is temporary. Whatever happens, happens for the best. Anyone faces both pleasures and hardships. We see the flow, and in the flow there are these stones. These stones seem to be alive. Indeed, they are like humans, passing their life's journey through this flow. I wanted to show simultaneously sunny and rainy days, and dark nights, which predict something. And you think, oh my God, and just die of fear. Water flows, but stones remain. Maybe it's a human soul. It is so stable. Anything temporary passes by, while it remains everlasting. And these vertical lines, colored blue, yellow, orange, and red, are like streams of divine grace. Combination of clear lines and soft waves gives the required contrast. The river of time is the symbol of duality, both in its techniques and in his philosophy. Bright colors perfectly resound next to the tender tints. Clear geometrical lines is in harmony with the natural flexibility. The transience of time exists at the background of the eternity. I can feel it myself. The work seems to resound with noise of the water, rustling of leaves, and time flies. That's the feeling I have. It should be pleasant. I do it that way and I like it. I like such wavy lines. And these spots are supposed to transfer from one color to another. The line emphasizes plasticity to make it all lyrical. Transfer of colors through the line acts as a verge. But at the same time, it adds a motion of the dimensions, as if it rustles inside. I don't know how it happens. When I work, I tremble of this feeling of pleasure. And my hands also tremble. Raushan Bazarbayeva studies all the time. New materials, new techniques. She strives to try and to master in everything. And it is not a rush towards the trend. It is just a childish curiosity. She always self-doubts, but bravely fights her internal demons of lack of self-confidence, and each time comes out a victor. Raushan dreams of going to Taiga to see a deer. She also dreams of going to Baikal to absorb the energy of pure water and nature.
I think work should obligatorily be emotional. When one comes and looks at the work of art, he learns some certain emotions. And if you want to convey these emotions, you should contribute much work in it. And then he comes up and intuitively knows what state was expressed, and it would give him an impulse of doing something new for himself. This is probably what the art is. And thank God, he gave me so much. And most of all, in my life, I like working in art.
The artist is sure that art is beauty. Art cannot be ugly, for it would contradict its mission in human life. It should raise our souls, awaken bright life forces in us, and lead us to the beauty. The magnificent artist, master of applied art, Raushan Bazarbayeva, every day of her life honestly puts this idea into life.